Thank you, Madam Sophia, for allowing me to present a free chapter from a book entitled, How to Close Every Sale and Every Time. This book has been carefully written and crafted by CTM Joseph NG, your sales and marketing e-coach and e-mentor. All right. Before speaking another word, it's only right to introduce myself as Madam Florence, another virtual assistant to the author CTM Joseph NG. Shall we continue? Thanks. Chapter 11, The Balance Sheet, or the Ben Franklin Close. Quote, essentially, this approach presents the negative factors of the product, as well as the benefits related to it. By David L. Lurtz and H. Robert Doge. Book, Fundamentals of Professional Selling. I am amazed when I discover that such a sales closing strategy involves a past president of United States of America. Shocking. You have to read the entire chapter to understand why Ben Franklin is involved in such a closing style. Make no mistake, this Ben Franklin method is recorded in some history records of lives of American presidents. And of course, this certainly refers to the famous Ben Franklin balance sheets close. I was told that Ben Franklin was one of the greatest presidents in US. This method depends greatly by how well you tell stories. Stories about your products. Stories about your company. Stories about your benefits offered to your prospects. Stories about your prospects himself or herself. And how your products will fill his needs and satisfy his desires. Suppose you are in a selling interview with a prospective buyer and you are presenting your product well. Your demonstration was good. Your prospects respond to you favorably. You ask him questions and he answers them. You know his needs. You know what he wants to accomplish. You know what his problems are and how your product or service can help to solve. You know your product or service will meet his needs. And it satisfies his desires. You go for his commitment. He won't come through for you. But he doesn't terminate the interview. He hasn't said no. He hasn't just said yes. He just won't make the commitment to buy. He is in the state of indecision. There is no agony known to man like the agony of indecision. Logically, you use the balance sheet closing method. This is a method of telling the prospect the story about Benjamin Franklin and how he made all his important decisions. Your story should go like this. In America, we have long considered Benjamin Franklin one of US' so-called wisest man. When he found himself in a situation, such as you are in right now, he felt pretty much as you do about it. If it's the right thing to do, you want to be sure to do it, don't you? What if it is a wrong thing to do? You want to be sure to avoid it. Will you? This completely eliminates any pressure from your selling. Isn't this the way you or the buyer feel right now? Next, here is what Franklin would do. He would take a sheet of clean white paper. At this point, you also take a sheet of clean white paper into your hand. Mr. Franklin would make a line marked right down to the center of the page, all the way from the top to the bottom. Now across the top of the page, he would write his problem that requires a decision. Just underneath the problem, he would write the word yes on the left side of the line that he has made in the center of the page. Under the yes column, he would list all the reasons favoring making the decisions today. Over on the other side of the line, that is, the right side of the line, he would write the word no. Under the no column, he would list all the reasons why he should not go ahead with his decision today. When he has finished, he would simply count it in the columns. He then counted the reasons listed on the yes side and he counted the reason listed on the no side, and his decision was made for him by whichever side has the most reasons listed. Why won't we try this here with your prospect and see what happens? By right, as a salesperson, you certainly can get more on the yes side than your prospects can get on the no side. When the prospect agrees to go forward, you hand him the sheet of paper. Place your pen in his hand and say to him, let us see how many reasons we can think of together for making a decision today. Then you help him to think of all the reason why he should own your product today. At this stage, just keep giving his reasons for owning your product or service today. For your assurance, I have yet in my selling career to see a prospect gets more on the no side than we together did get on the yes side. Research have proven your prospect can't change from yeses to nos quick enough to come out with many no reasons. Really, and jokes aside, having counted that overwhelming yes against no or more, your next best step is to post the trial closing question. You ask, when would be the best time for us to make the installation? Would next Monday be all right, or would Wednesday suit your convenience better? It is to your benefit you should practice this closing method until you know how to apply, and hence your sale will increase. I promise you, if you would use the Benjamin Franklin balance sheet in your closing of sale, that your sales will increase. In truth, that's what you should have him doing in such an encounter. Agree? You bet. On this note, let's go over the all-important summary. Okay, thanks. Summary in not too many words. Let's look at the distilled version of this chapter. Shall we? For starters, you must remember this balance sheet close has vital reference to the ex-president of USA. Furthermore, for this technique to work well, we must have or acquire the ability to tell stories. Not forgetting that it may be workable if the buyer is unsure of buying your product. Similarly, such a closing requires you as a sales professional to convince the prospect you have more yeses than nos from the buyer. After which you must go for the trial close. Now you are clearer of the Frank Benjamin close. Agree or not? To end this chapter with a big bang, so to speak, let's conclude on a high note. Conclusion. Therefore, it is only right that the chapter on the balance sheet, or Frank Benjamin close, we should agree wisely that it is so useful a tool for closing, that the name of the ex-president is used here. Agree? Without any trace or doubt, it does really applicable as a method of closing, as it is time and market tested closing technique. As said earlier, I myself has applied this technique and it really works. But it requires hard work and practice. In closing, do allow me to wrap up this chapter with the wise words of Mary Eleanor Lucy Archer, who was the Australian Commonwealth Scientific and Industrial Research Organisation's first woman scientist and its chief librarian, for which she was made a member of the Order of the British Empire. It sounds extraordinary, but it's a fact that balance sheets can make fascinating reading. This brings us gracefully to the end of chapter 11. Hope we can meet et again, the next chapter. Are you game? Thanks a million. End of chapter 11. P.S. Thanks for viewing this week's bulletin. At the same time, please accept our best wishes from Madam Sophia, CTM Joseph, and myself, Madam Florence. Okay. Thanks a million.